I was desperate when I took the job. Unemployed for months, drowning in rent, and scraping meals together from canned goods and ramen. So when I saw the classified ad looking for a night shift caretaker at the Hillview Psychiatric Hospital, I didn't hesitate. The place had been shut down since 1986 after an unexplained fire took the lives of 11 patients and 2 nurses. Some said it was arson. Others claimed the patients started it themselves, but no one could agree on how the fire spread without setting off a single alarm. Still, the state wanted the building preserved, some kind of historical value, so they hired someone to stay overnight, check for squatters, and log anything unusual. That someone was now me. The job came with a cot, a flashlight, and access to the surveillance system. No internet, no phone signal. Just me and 200,000 square feet of rotting corridors, locked doors, and silence. Except the silence didn't last. The first night, I heard something. At exactly 3:03 a.m. Over the old intercom system, a faint sound buzzed through the building. Static, then a voice, barely above a whisper. "Can you hear me?" I froze. My skin went cold. I stared at the intercom speaker above my head like it might bite me. I checked the camera feeds. All empty. No intruders. No movement. Just that voice, whispering again, "I'm still in room 217. That room wasn't on any of my maps. I searched every hallway. No room 217. But the voice kept coming. Every night. And it was getting louder. The next morning, I called the site supervisor, a quiet man named Gerald who handled the contracts from his office 3 towns over. "There is no room 217, he said firmly. "Hillview was built with only 2 floors. We've scanned every inch of the blueprint. That room doesn't exist." I told him about the voice over the intercom. He paused. "That system's been dead since the 80s. No working speakers. Power's rerouted through a backup grid now." I didn't argue. I just thanked him, hung up, and stared at the intercom for a long time. That night, I stayed in the security room with all 12 camera feeds glowing dimly in front of me. I counted down to 3:03 a.m. My hands were shaking. Sure enough, the static came. Then the whisper, "Come back. I'm still here. Room 217. But this time, something changed. Camera 9 flickered, just for a moment. It showed a hallway I didn't recognize, darker than the others, with a metal door at the end. A number was etched into the rusting plate, 217. Then the feed went black. I replayed the footage. Nothing. It was like that frame never existed. But I knew what I saw. Room 217 was real, and someone or something inside it wanted me to find it. The next night, I searched. I walked the halls with my flashlight, every creak echoing through the skeleton of the asylum. My map said there were 14 corridors, but I counted 15. The 15th ran behind the east wing, a narrow passage sealed off by a heavy, chain door. The air here was different, heavier, stale. It took me 30 minutes to find the bolt cutters in the old supply room. When the chain snapped, it sounded like a gunshot in the stillness. The hallway beyond was lined with peeling wallpaper and dead light fixtures. I walked past shattered gurneys, old wheelchairs, and claw marks in the walls. At the end was a single door, blackened and blistered from fire. Above it, room 217. I should have left. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, but I put my hand on the doorknob, and it turned. Inside, the air was freezing. My breath fogged in front of me. The walls were charred. The bed frame half melted. Everything smelled of smoke and something else, rotting meat. In the center of the room, drawn in ash on the floor, was a circle, symbols I didn't recognize. And at the center, a mirror. Not broken, not cracked, just perfectly clean, too clean. Then my flashlight flickered, and in the mirror, I saw someone standing behind me. But when I turned around, there was no one there. I stumbled back from the mirror, my heart slamming against my ribs. The reflection still showed someone behind me, tall, pale, wrapped in something like a hospital gown. But when I turned, the room was empty. I aimed my flashlight at the mirror again. The figure didn't move. It didn't blink. It just stood there, mouth agape like it was mid-scream. but silent. Then the mirror cracked. A long, jagged fracture split the image in two, but instead of spidering outward, the crack pulsed like it was breathing. I ran out the door, down the hall, back to the security room, where I locked myself in and stared at the camera feeds until dawn. I wanted to quit. I almost did, but something about the mirror kept clawing at the back of my mind. That night, I returned to room 217, but the hallway wasn't there anymore. Where the chain door had been was now just a solid wall. I walked the east wing 3 times. No hidden corridor, no sealed door, just rusted pipes and the steady hum of dead silence. I checked the blueprint again. Still no mention of room 217. But the intercom crackled that night, louder than ever. "Why did you leave me?" Then a second voice joined it. Hoarse, angry. "You opened the door. Now you can't close it." I started digging. Old newspaper archives, county records, anything about Hillview and room 217. Most of it was scrubbed. But in a microfilm archive at the local library, I found an article dated August 5, 1986, 2 weeks before the fire. Patient dies during isolation therapy in unauthorized room. The patient's name was Rachel Welling, 23 years old, admitted after a violent psychotic break. The report said she was kept in an unauthorized experimental ward beneath the East Wing, soundproof, undocumented, and illegal. Staff claimed she started speaking in voices that weren't her own. The doctors thought it was schizophrenia, until others started hearing them, too. The room she died in, where she was kept during her final week, was labeled 217 in handwritten notes. One staff member quit the same day and reportedly told a local priest, "She's not alone in there." She never was. That was the last time room 217 was mentioned in any record, but I knew it was still there, even if I couldn't find it again. Not yet. The next night, the hospital changed. I mean that literally. Doors that used to lead to stairwells opened into dead ends. Hallways bent at wrong angles. And my security room, my only safe place, was gone. It wasn't just old architecture settling. It was like the building was folding in on itself, room by room. I wandered for what felt like hours. My flashlight started to die. I passed rooms I didn't recognize, their names burned off the plaques. One had claw marks etched into the wall spelling, "Let me out." I turned a corner and found myself in front of that same sealed hallway again. Room 217, like it had never disappeared. The chain was back, but rusted through. The door stood slightly ajar. Inside, the mirror was gone. In its place, was a woman, sitting in the center of the room, hair hanging over her face, whispering to herself. I stepped closer. The air turned sour. She lifted her head slowly, her eyes milky white, her mouth stained red. She whispered, "I remember you now." I ran again, but this time, the door slammed behind me before I could leave, and then the lights went out. I don't remember falling asleep, but when I woke up, the room was different again. The bed was clean. The walls weren't burned. Everything looked untouched, like it had never been destroyed, and I was strapped to the bed. Leather cuffs on my wrists and ankles, an old, blinking light above my head. The sound of a steady heart monitor filled the room. Then a voice, "Patient is awake, beginning isolation therapy." I screamed. No one came. A nurse walked in. Her face was smooth, featureless, just skin stretched tight over a skull. She wheeled over a mirror and placed it beside the bed. Then the whispers started again, dozens of them, filling the room. "Let us out. Let us out. Let us out." The mirror rippled like water, and from within it, I saw dozens of faces. Rachel, other patients, doctors, all staring, all trapped. They weren't ghosts. They were reflections, trapped inside room 217 forever. And now I was one of them. Somehow, I escaped. Or maybe I didn't. I woke up in my apartment 2 days later. My phone was dead. My voicemail full of messages from Gerald, "You vanished. Security found your flashlight in the corridor. Are you okay?" I tried to tell him what happened. He didn't believe me. No one would. But I know what I saw. The mirror in room 217 is still there, and it's hungry. Every night since, at exactly 3:03 a.m., my apartment lights flicker, and my bathroom mirror fogs up even when I haven't showered. Sometimes, I hear whispers from the other side. You left us behind. You'll come back soon. I've smashed every mirror in my place, but the reflections keep finding new surfaces. Now, I sleep with the lights on and all the windows covered, but I know it's just a matter of time. Room 217 doesn't let people go. It just gives them a head start.